What's good YouTube, Ben here, welcome to the next video on the channel. In this one, I'm going to give you my next Steel Path viable build on Warframe. This is going to be for Skiajati. Let's get into this. Right, so I've never done a build for this weapon before, and I will say this weapon was kind of difficult to build for. I'll explain as we go into the mission, but the build I've currently got on it is Prime Pressure Point for 165% melee damage. We've got Vicious Frost for 60% cold and 60% status chance. Condition Overload for 80% melee damage per status type effect in the target. Oh, sorry, in the aura slot, in the stance mod slot, we've got Blind Justice, Reverse Grip Style, emphasizing slashing and impaling strikes. Galvanized Elementalist for 80% status damage and on melee kill, plus 30% status chance for 20 seconds stacks up to 4 times. We've got Weeping Wounds for 40% status chance per combo multiplier. Virulent Scourge for 60% toxin and 60% status chance. We've got Berserker Fury for on melee kill, plus 35% attack speed for 10 seconds stacks up to 2 times. And we've got Voltaic Strike, 60% electricity and 60% status chance. And in the Arcane slot, we've got Melee Influence, rank 5 on melee electricity status, 20% chance for elemental melee status effects to apply to enemies within 20 meters for 18 seconds, cannot refresh while active. So this doesn't just apply to electricity effects, it also applies to stuff like Viral, Slash, hence why I'm running Viral and Slash on this build, as well as the electricity. But we're not really running criticals on this build at all. We are running status with the viral electricity to give off extra damage. Not to mention we've got our heavy attacks as well. But I did find this difficult to build for, as I alluded to, mainly because it's a mixed weapon. You can run it crits or you can run it statuses. The thing was, I've literally spent the past hour before recording this trying to find a way to get this to work correctly, and I found a build that actually does now kind of work, which is nice. But again, any build suggestions, leave them in the description below. I'd be very interested to see everyone else's take on it. But let's jump into the mission. I'll show you what this thing can do. Alright, as per usual, we're here at Oxsmoker in the Void. Now, I'll quickly explain why we're here. So the Void is one of the latest areas in the game, so you're dealing with the Corrupted, and with the Corrupted, you're dealing with enemies with just health, enemies with health and shields, and enemies with high armor, giving you a more varied example of what your weapon / Warframe can do. Not to mention, I do want to point out that my Necros Prime does not have any Archon shards on it that increases melee or anything. They're purely for energy mostly. But let's jump into the mission. So, idea being is you want to try and keep enemies as grouped as you can, because that's when you're really going to start proccing off on your viral and electricity spreads. Now, of course, standard-wise, it's not having a difficult time cutting through enemies at all. Like, it's cutting through decently well, which is nice. It does slowly start to struggle a little bit against armored units, but it really depends on if your stuff procs off. Because if your viral electricity spreads, like this room, for example, if I can get it to proc, which it did, it's then going to start doing a bunch of damage to every surrounding enemy within 20 meters. So ideally, you want to keep enemies as together as possible. Now, for a better example, I could have gone on Mott, but I wanted to show a use case where you can use it pretty much in any mission type. Because essentially, in Exterminate, enemies will appear just as, you know, singly as they do in any other kind of normal mission type that's not group-based, like defense or mobile defense or whatever. So because of that, it's more, I get to show what this can actually do. And as you can see, it is proccing off. Now, when it comes to Eximus units, what I tend to do is focus on the little guys first, because it allows you to get a few more hits out to try and proc out the effects. Which, as you can see, we are definitely doing. Enemies are falling around us, which is great. That Eximus disappeared because he died to the effects, the status effects. So you don't always have to focus on Eximus units, which is very nice. You can focus on stuff around it, because the stuff around it is going to force, once you proc off your elementals, it's going to force it to spread. And when it does spread, that's it. It starts clearing rooms. So you don't need to focus at all on anything like that. I also want to point out, you just saw my weapon level up. It's because when I formed it the final time to put Prime Pressure Point on, because I only needed one mod slot, I only needed one thingy. I didn't need to level it up, because this weapon doesn't get stronger the more it's leveled. It's just dependent on the mods, so... And as you can see, it is shredding through enemies. It's doing its work, which is great. I do love Nikana weapons. They are fantastic. The thing is, this weapon kind of gets outclassed because of stuff like Nikana Prime, but other Nikana weapons in the same sort of class. Like, Dex Nikana. All are weapons that are just fantastic, to be honest. But this weapon's more than usable. Another way you can also make it better use case as well is if you equip it to a frame that's more melee-centric. So, Calervo, you've got Excalibur Umbra, Atlas if you build him around melee, because I do, because of his landslide fists. Like, you can really cut through whole rooms of enemies, but you get more damage with those frames because they're designed to be around melee, as opposed to my Necros, which isn't. My Necros is just a... Essentially, he's my farm frame, but he's the only Warframe I've currently got that can survive that doesn't have any melee-centric stuff on it. But my Necros survives absolutely fine here, so it's fine. There we go. They're all proccing off now. So enemies are slowly starting to fall because of the status effects they're being hit with. Because the thing is, right, when they're being hit with these extra statuses, they're being subjected to both electricity and viral, but also slash, which is helping to cut through all of their health. See, look, the Xmas unit, for example, its shields got melted because of those extra effects. So I didn't need to focus on it to get rid of it, because it was being melted by the other effects. So when that happens, you don't need to worry about being direct line of fire to a Xmas unit, because you can just work on everything around it. In this case, there's not as many surrounding it, so I'm just going to focus on the Xmas unit. Because there's just not enough. But keeping everything tip-top, like, look at this. Like, it's just... They spread so quickly. And as you can see, you know, we went through a whole mission of Oxymoko with no problems whatsoever. We haven't died. We haven't run into any other unforeseen issues. Like, this build just works. Which is nice, because, you know, I like it when a weapon finally works when you're trying to put a build on it. Although I am trying to wait for the Acolyte to come in so you guys can see what it does to Acolytes, but apparently I've got to wait a little bit longer for him today. Come on, Mr. Acolyte. Hello, Jade Xmas. Hey, there we go. Although I must admit, having this guy come up with a Jade Xmas in tow is not good, so I need to get rid of this guy fast. Thank you. We've got Mania. Alright. So we cut through health pretty darn fast. Sorry, shields. And then cutting through health isn't really a big deal. You just need to hit a couple of heavy attacks. And the rest pretty much takes itself. So yeah, let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below. Don't forget you can also support the channel completely for free just by liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget you can also support the channel even further by becoming a channel member from as little as 99 pence per month. And don't forget I do live stream. When I go live here on YouTube and over on Twitch and on TikTok all at the same time. My streams here on YouTube are in the shorts form feeds, more for mobile. If you want to catch the exact same streams at the exact same time in full 1080p, feel free to join me on Twitch or on TikTok. Those links are in the description below.